This giant life-size bust of none other than Skeletor from Masters of the Universe ended up being a $1 million statue for Tweeterhead, the manufacturer.
What would you do if you had $1 million?
I'll tell you what I'd do, man. 2 chicks at the same time, man.
You had $1 million, you'd do 2 chicks at the same time?
Damn straight. I always wanted to do that, man.
As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we're giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey, welcome to the Extreme channel. My name is Mr. X. We have a crazy Extreme collectible on the table. This is from Masters of the Universe, one of my all-time childhood favorites. I'm not a huge fan of the new Netflix series. I couldn't even get through the entire thing. But this is one of the quintessential villains of all time, Skeletor from Eternia. Now, what I love about Skeletor is he's one of the most badass villains out there with the stupidest laughs. And if you think about it, Skeletor really wasn't represented very badass. Other than in the awesome live-action Masters of the Universe film where Ivan Drago saved Monica from Friends from Dracula. Some of you will get those references. A lot of people don't know who those actual actors are. But this is obviously based off the animation line, somewhat, not really the filmation, but Tweeterhead, the manufacturer of this statue, has brought this to life. Now, I ordered this a long time ago, and I no longer collect not only Masters of the Universe pieces, I sold them all, but I'm selling all of my busts unless they are a DC movie-related bust, and this clearly isn't. So, you know, a lot of people had been saying, wait till you get this one in, Mr. X, you're not going to want to sell it. And as a spoiler, I do not. This is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to have to figure out a place to display this that'll look good. I'm kind of thinking maybe next to this. Really one of the only non-DC movie busts I'm actually getting is this Queen Studios Balrog, although the scales will look kind of weird. But in my opinion, I'm going to let you know right now before we dive into the Extreme review, not only is this Tweeterhead's best piece, but I think this is the best Masters of the Universe statue out there, and it is truly phenomenal. Now, in the intro, I told you about this is a $1 million statue. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in value. But first, we're going to kick off the review, starting with concept. And if you've ever seen me review a bust, I probably reviewed about 40 or 50 of them. I always say it's difficult to review a bust because concept-wise, there's not really a lot going on. But they did everything that I like on this one, so let's talk about that. Starting with the base here, they have this fiery lava rock base. Now, I'm going to assume this is part of Snake Mountain. It would have been cool if they had maybe some snakes down there, but I still think it looks fantastic without. Then as you move up his torso here, you have pretty much, I'd say, the upper 60% of his torso, maybe a little bit above where his midsection is, which I like. And, you know, it's a good transition, I think, from that lava base below. You see the armor on the front of it. I think that cross looks great, and it actually covers up where the body stops so it doesn't look awkward. The cape in the back also covers the back, and we'll talk more about that in design. He is fully armored out. Some classic Masters of the Universe stuff. There's tons of armor on the back. We'll look at this closer in paint and sculpt, and you move up, and he has the evil, sinister smile. Now, granted, his head is a skull, so it's really hard to tell. Maybe he's not smiling, maybe he's crying, and that's what he looks like. But I think the concept is great for a bust. A lot of the stuff will actually tie into design, but I like how they included the shoulders, most of the upper torso. I think the transition as well. We have the hood. We have a full portrait. I think the concept for a bust is 4 out of 5. I think what would have made it 5 out of 5 is stuff that you could argue is with design. So let's dive into that now, talk about the design of it. Now, believe it or not, assembly, while it was easy, it wasn't simple. Let me show you what I mean. Absolutely monstrous, huge, heavy box. Now, it didn't have an art box on the inside. As you can see, it was just the foam. But right there is a little COA, which I think they should have put the edition size on. We'll talk more about that later. Now, the top of the foam had a hidden compartment. Not really hidden, but the cape, the back cape actually went in that compartment. And then everything else was either to the side or below Skeletor in the main box. Now there are some different display options, obviously, mostly with the cape in the back. That technically is removable, but I think it looks better with the cape. At first I wasn't so sure. And then obviously you can remove his hood as well. Now the fabric hood does have wire on the side, so it's kind of pliable and you can try and pose it how you want to. I think it looks great like this, but also with the hood on. So I plan to display him with the hood on. Let's measure him. Very wide piece. We are talking about 31 inches wide. Deepest part is probably, if you take the back of the armor to the front, maybe about 18 inches. And then all the way to the top. And of course the hood will add some height, but you're about 27, 28 inches. You can go to Tweeterhead or Sideshow's website to actually see the dimensions on this guy. Now with design, I actually put the cape on wrong to start with. So I really like how they display the cape and you put it underneath the armor pieces. I really like how the armor pieces stack on each other and you really can't see any seam lines. Only two recommendations I have. One is, like I talked about, there could have been snakes on the base, which might be more of a concept thing. But what would have knocked this piece out of the park is if they added a light up feature in the eyes. I think that would have been absolutely amazing. It's still amazing without that, but I give the design a 4 out of 5. It's very strong. Paint and sculpt is very good. You know, the problem with paint and sculpt, and I've done this with a lot of the Masters of the Universe pieces I've reviewed, do you do like a filmation where they look almost two-dimensional and they don't have a lot of detail? Or do you take a realistic take on them of what they probably look like in real life? And I think this did both, leaning more towards the latter, and it made it look fantastic. Check it out. Now, first thing I want to look at is actually the fabric. Now, the fabric of the cape is pretty thin. Almost seems like something you'd see on a cheap curtain. I do like the pattern in it, the design, the mixes of reds and purples. I don't think it's going to fray or anything like that, but it is nice. The hood seems a little bit more robust and thick, and maybe it's because it has the posable wires in there. You can see that. While we're on the back, let's look at the armor. I love the intricate detail here. Now, you know, when you're creating armor like this, do you want it really silver where it's almost shiny? Or do you want it more of a gray color or something in between? And I think they did something in between and it works really well, especially with the elaborate patterns that they put on there. And depending on the light you have on it, this has some giant spotlights on it, that'll change it as well. But when you think of Skeletor, you think more dark, you know, Snake Mountain, dingy. I mean, hell, even Castle Grayskull is very dark. But I think they did a really nice job. I like the evenness of the paint. Very impressive, and I love these designs. Little Easter eggs in here. Now his shoulder pads, these right here are fully sculpted, even though they're made to kind of look like leather straps with the armor plates on the side. Again, very nice job. I like how there's a little bit of purple in these shoulder straps here and how they're layered on top of each other. Looks really good. Now, as you move over here, I do have one issue, and it's more of a concept issue we should have talked about earlier, but I guess I have to look at Skeletor closely. This front breastplate here, I don't know if that purple is accurate. I assume it is because whoever owns the rights to Masters of the Universe has to sign off on that. I'm used to the blue right here and then kind of the purple in his clothing, so I could just be wrong on that. But I love the blue. You know, you kind of see his chest there, even his nips. And the white that you see here is more appearing on camera with the bright lights on it than it actually is in real life. It's more of a, you see more blue than you do white. Barely any white in person. But I like that it gives it a little bit of contrast. It's just not matted all the way blue. The armor looks great. The shine on the red in the middle of his armor here, in between the bones, looks fantastic. And then almost like some chainmail pieces right here, which they also have in the back. We didn't look too close at it, but right here, kind of holding up everything. Looks really good. It is fully sculpted. And then, of course, the Batman symbol right here. But on the bottom, the base isn't perfect. It looks good, though. I would say, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, the base is probably like a 6 when it comes to that lava mountain effect. So I think that's definitely admirable. From a distance, the farther away you get, the better it looks. But that's really nice. Then as you move up, the skull. So a lot of people weren't happy how green the skull is, and the lights I have on it really exemplifies it. When the hood's up, it kind of takes that away. It's almost like a glow in the dark, and maybe it is a glow in the dark. I just don't know better because I've had it under spotlights all day. But really cool. I like the detail they added. It's not like a traditional skull, but it is at the same time. I know that doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to me. So I like how right here there's almost this brown wiring mesh because we don't really know what Skeletor looks like. I'm glad they did him with his mouth closed so he doesn't have that cackling laugh. But looks fantastic, and especially like right here, that's where you really see more of that white aspect of it. But I think the green really, really kind of mixes it up. The eyes look fine. I think they could have been done a little bit better. Like I talked about, a glow-in-the-dark effect would have been even more awesome. But yeah, some really good stuff on both the paint and sculpt. A few things that could have been better to make it perfect, but looks great. Paint, great job. I really can't think of anything I'd improve. You know, the green on him, I think it's better than the white like we talked about, and with the hood, it's almost negligible. So I'm going to give the paint a 4 out of 5. I think just a shade of the green, a little bit lighter, would have been a 5 out of 5. The sculpt, though, I give them a 5 out of 5. I think it's fantastically done. I'm really impressed. Tweeterhead keeps on stepping up their game more and more, with one big exception, which ties into the next category of value. So I said this is $1 million statue. That's because they made 1,000 of them and they charged $1,000 each. Now, Tweeterhead's kind of notoriously known for not being the best communicator. But with this, we actually got tracking numbers before they even billed us for shipping. And I was out of the country when this happened. Then they sent us a shipping bill, which was a totally different new format than they usually have, asking for our credit card numbers. Well, I'm not going to click on anything like that and enter my credit card. And it was for $125, which was a great deal on shipping. A day later, that invoice was canceled, and they sent an email saying, hey, we sent out the wrong invoice, shipping is actually twice as much. Which sucked, but that's fine. And then, for about the next 3 or 4 days, they kept sending emails saying, if you don't pay shipping now, we're going to stop FedEx and their tracks from delivering it to you. And it's like, well, that's great, Tweeterhead, but no offense, you take months and sometimes years to make statues and don't even tell us when it's coming and then expect us to read emails, pay you money within days. So I think that's another bad example. But on the bright side, like I said, I think Tweeterhead's products keep getting better and better. And what we've seen in statue collecting for Masters of the Universe is most Masters of the Universe pieces tend to gain value. As I said, I think this is not only Tweeterhead's best piece, but I think it is the best MOTU piece out there as well. They only made 1,000, and 1,000 for a large life-size bust like this is a pretty good deal. So I think the value on this is 5 out of 5. I think it is absolutely fantastic. And another reason I don't want to give it up. Now, with that being said, does this have the X factor? If you're new to the channel, that's not a cumulative score. It's just, is this totally badass? Will this grab people's attention when it walks in? There's a lot of things that tie to that. It's recognition of the character. It's how well is it done. Size definitely matters.
That's what she said.
But yes, this does have the X factor. It's a 5 out of 5 statue. I'm really impressed. Well done, Tweeterhead. Just improve your communication and continue putting out great products like this. So do you guys agree with my assessment? Is this the best Masters of the Universe statue out there? Throw that down in the comments below because that could win you a statue. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Thank you guys. Thank you, Tweeterhead. I really appreciate it. Great piece. Need to find a spot for him now. Let me know in the comments what you think. Hit that like button. It's free, easy, helps me a lot. And then do some other stuff like subscribe and watch these other videos. That helps too, I think.